Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. So, this meeting is about liberation. And this is liberation. It's literally all there is liberation. Liberation doesn't feel like anything in particular. It feels like this. It doesn't look like anything particular. It looks like this. This is what liberation looks like. There is no beginning or end to liberation. There isn't like a point of liberation and a point before liberation. That's just the dream. So nobody ever becomes liberated. It's not a personal experience. It's not going to happen to you. So what we're talking about isn't coming from an authority. There would be no reason to bow down and kiss my feet, except that I love it. No, I'm just kidding. There'd be no reason to hug me or listen to me. I've got nothing for you. There's nothing here for you. Because there's nothing needed. There just isn't anything missing. And that's where this meeting arises from. It's not that this doesn't have anything to give, because everything is already liberated. It's there might be an experience that something has to happen. That experience that something has to happen owns the feelings and thoughts and the appearance and judges it, says it's not it in some way, says liberation must look like something else. Because I've got the sense that something's not quite fixed, something's not quite right, something still needs to happen. And the sense is that I have to do something about it. I'm the one that's going to find or know what needs to happen and make it happen so that I become liberated. Now, all of that is liberation. There's nothing else except that, except liberation. Everything I've just mentioned is liberation. And that's the dilemma for the seeker. That's the dilemma for the I know. Because it is liberation. So it's seeking what is already, having the sensation or the feeling or the conviction that something needs to happen. That's liberation as well. So because everything is already liberated, it'll never happen. It doesn't. And because everything's already liberated, it doesn't matter. There's absolutely no way to get this right or wrong. Right or wrong are just the story I tell myself of what needs to happen so that I find liberation. That's already liberation. Liberation can feel sad, angry, confused, longing, hopeful, hopeless. That's liberation. There's nothing else. So this meeting isn't about becoming. It isn't about knowing. I've got nothing to tell you. So it's not a teaching in the sense that there's nothing to be learned. There's no knowledge. There's no special experience that you need to have. There is absolutely nothing that needs to happen for this to be liberated. Even the sense that it does is liberation. So where does that leave you? nowhere, everywhere, anywhere. Okay, then. So we can talk about that. I don't know how, but we can talk about that if you like, or anything else, pretty much. I'd sort of keep it to this theme of non-dualism, but.
Thank you for holding this morning sessions. It's very good for Australia.
Yeah.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
A million things, but...
A million? Oh, goodness.
First of all, I was wondering if you could talk a bit about the applied non-duality.
Well, it's an oxymoron. Do you know what oxymoron mean?
No, really.
It's a contradiction in terms.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is that non-duality isn't something. It isn't a thing. It's not a state. It's not an object.
Yes.
It's actually not a subject. It's saying it's not something, and it's saying it's not two.
Yes.
But the suggestion there is that there's only not two. So there's no way to find not two, because there's only not two. So there's no way to apply what everything is already. Just like liberation. How are you going to apply liberation?
Yes.
If everything's already liberated.
Because I find that sometimes I say, well, it doesn't matter if I'm vegetarian or not vegetarian, if I'm do this or do that.
That's true.
But is that what applied non-duality is, or?
Well, there's no such thing. It's a misunderstanding. It can't be done.
Okay.
It's like listening to this meeting as a teaching, or as an expectation on you that you should become something. That's just not what's happening here.
Okay, that's really good.
Oh, great. Woo!
And the other thing is about how we say that there is no me. And
yes.
When the apparent me apparently fall, it is obvious that there was never a me to fall.
Yes.
But still there is the feeling that there is a me.
Yeah.
There is a contraction.
You don't have that. You don't have that feeling.
There is a feeling.
Nobody feels that. The me isn't also not an object. It is so intrinsic to the experience of knowing what this is that it can't be objectified. Everything that when I talk about a me or the me falling away, that's only recognized as it happens.
Right.
Before that, there was any concepts I had about it were just concepts. They had no reality to them at all.
Yes. What I'm trying to ask is, like, we say, like, the thoughts and feelings might arise. They're not personal. They're not attached to any person.
Yeah.
And then they arise and then they fall. So the contraction might arise and then it might fall as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
So the contraction is what I call the sense that there is a me. The contraction is the thing. So that might fall away.
Yeah.
So that's the hope that we are hanging on to.
Yeah.
that contraction might fall away.
But you're not really hoping that the contraction falls away. What you're hoping for is that you have a better experience. That if the
Well,
contraction falls away, you'll then have a better experience. That's what you can't, this isn't a blaming. That's just part of the experience of being an individual, is looking for a better experience because it's convinced that something has to happen. That's part of its experience. That's part of its intrinsic nature, is something needs to happen for this to be fulfilled.
It's not what I could say that I feel here.
Well, you just said you wanted the me to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Something has to
we
happen.
say there is no me, but
Yep.
but the contraction or the sense that there is a me, I wouldn't mind to see it gone. Well, not even, I don't mind.
But that's still feeling, that's still having the experience that something needs to happen.
That's true.
It
but
doesn't
I don't
have
mind
to happen.
If I don't know it.
There's nothing right or wrong with the contracted experience of me, which is just a sense of knowing. There's nothing right or wrong with that.
Well, here there is, because
no, there isn't. No, there isn't anything right or wrong with that. And there isn't anything right or wrong with the feeling that there is something right or wrong with it.
Right.
That doesn't have to fall away. That's liberation, having the experience that something's right or wrong.
Right. Yes. Well, maybe.
Couldn't be less helpful, could it?
Well, I'm not really looking for help because I know there's no help and there is nothing really to be done. And there's really nothing, we can't really touch.
You don't know any of those things.
No, it's true.
No. You just put that in the bag of what needs to happen.
I'll put it in the washing machine. It might It's a bit of a stain there.
But that's liberation. There's nothing right or wrong with stains.
No.
No.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, Orna. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Jim.
Hey there.
I have a couple of questions about a topic that's come up in some recordings of yours that I've seen.
Okay. I don't hear you very well.
Oh, can you hear me better now, Jim?
Let me put in my earphones. Just a second. I forgot my earphones.
Jim, is that better?
Yeah, that is better.
Oh, great. A couple of brief, fairly direct questions about a topic that you mentioned. I just want to clarify that I understand it correctly first.
Yep. Okay, good. Yeah.
A sense of here-ness is one of the first things that apparently happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one of the first thing that someone knows is ownership of that sense of here-ness. Is that accurate?
Well, sort of. The here-ness is the ownership. It all happens. I'm just giving a story about the way the me sort of builds itself up, but that happens all immediately or timelessly. And there's no value to the story. It's just a story, but yeah.
I believe I understand that, but does that feeling of here-ness represent something that does actually arise in experience, as something that could be identified in experience as a...
It is experience.
And in the experience that's happening there, is it?
There is no experience here. There isn't any there either, but.
Is there a difference in the sense that the ownership can go away, or that the here-ness itself can go away?
Both.
Or not go away.
And yeah, totally. But the ownership is recognized as just having been a dream. And that's not something. So Jim is not having the experience of having no experience. And Jim is not having the experience that there's no ownership.
Was Jim also previously not having the experience that there was ownership?
There was an experience. Yeah, of course. That's what the message is sort of about. But the message in the end is actually that nothing needs to happen. That is the core experience of the individual, that something needs to happen for this to be liberated. And that's why I say that when that me falls away, which is the experience that something needs to happen, like here needs to go away, or the ownership needs to go away, that's the illusion. Nothing needs to happen. There is only liberation. But already.
Yeah, it already is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Jim.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Jason.
It's really a great feeling to speak with you. I've seen so many of your recordings.
No, thanks.
Okay, I guess it's me now.
Hey, Matt.
Hello. So I have kind of collected the incomprehensibility of this message into the sharpest point when I have struggling with this, and that is like this. I could accept all of it except just one thing that seems to be really impossible. But now I'm trying this with you. If this is just about the difference between being and experiencing somehow. So the sharp point is this: that even the experience that something really needs to happen, that is fulfillment. That nothing
Totally.
Yeah. So that seems a bit hard to swallow. But
Totally. But that's also liberation.
Yeah. But it's about the experience, I guess.
It doesn't matter. It's not about anything.
Not about anything.
No, because you think that when the experience falls, or when you figure this out, that'll be liberation. But what you're telling me, or what's being heard, is there's liberation looking for liberation. All there is liberation. And it can appear as experience, or the contracted individual, or knowing, or here-ness. Yeah. There's no need for that to fall away. There's no value in it being there or not being there.
So I guess I'm entangled in the idea of experience, because you're not saying all there is the experience of liberation. There is no.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
No.
So I think that's the whole thing here, I guess. When you get entangled in that, then it seems really like a sharp contradiction. And
well, if you wanted to put a word on it, I would say everything that I describe as far as the revelation of what this is an unrealization. So there's the experience of things being real, and then it's unrealized. It's recognized as not being real, or revealed as being unreal.
Yeah. And then the experience of those things falls away somehow. Maybe.
Well, what's the thing is there isn't experience already, but there sometimes seems to be an experience which comes out of knowing. That never happens. There is only immediacy. There's only this unhavable appearance, this unsolid appearance. That's all there is. It never is solid. It never is havable or knowable. But there arises an experience that it is. That's also the unknowableness of it appearing as knowing. So the end of that, nothing happened, because it's already insubstantial. There is no substantiality. So nothing happens. It is the expectation or the need for something to happen that makes it seem substantial. It still isn't. It's still just immediacy.
I feel like walking on a rope over an abyss, but I asked for it, so I deserve it.
There's no rope, man.
Okay. Let's end it at that.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah.
Shall we let Damien ask a question?
Yes. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Damien.
Hey. Apparently, there seems to be decades of effort in the dream, in the story of me. There seems to be decades of effort, hopeless effort, and then this phase of despair, of hope or hopelessness, and then there seems to be a phase of letting go, which of course is not a recipe. There is no recipe, but you or Tony or other people have been listening to seems to in the storyline, in the story of me, that there seems to have been decades of looking and seeking, and then despair. Of course, this is useless. We cannot grasp it because it's ungraspable. So my question is, only celebration. It's not a question. It's even not a question. It's only celebration.
No.
Whatever seems to happen is celebrated. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like you're happy. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
But then even the word liberation is somehow inducing an error.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the liberation, or in your essay, you are speaking about prisoners. There are no prisoners.
Yeah.
Liberation or prison is also completely illusory.
Yeah. Although I did say there's only liberation. I didn't say someone goes from the prison to liberation.
Yeah.
I said that the prison is liberation appearing as a prison. And the article is actually about non-dualism takes no prisoners, because it's not saying liberation happens to a person or can be found through effort. The article is saying that it can't be. That effort is just part of the conviction that something needs to happen. That's what the article's about.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not a liberation from something.
No, there's only liberation, so there's nowhere to go from.
Yes.
That's why it doesn't happen and why nobody gets it.
Yeah. I can get that and not get that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly the way it is.
Yeah. I have a second question, which is somehow it's about the question of awareness or consciousness. You seem to point that awareness or consciousness are somehow related to knowing.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But knowing as humans is related to language and concepts, whereas awareness is something much deeper. You'd
like that, wouldn't you?
No, it's not a question of liking. It's a question of feeling it. Even in deep sleep, there is somehow awareness.
Oh, you know that?
No, I don't know it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It has been there since this body was born.
Yeah, but you don't actually know that.
No, in the sense that there is a knower and something known. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, but you don't even have the experience of being aware all the time. You just don't know that that's not the brain. You just don't know. Because this has had the experience, that I am experience. It never sleeps, is just aware all the time, goes on, never a pause. There's just the awareness, and everything happens within that awareness that I am. But you don't know what that is. It feels like the experience is an unexperience. It's beyond the brain and all that, but you don't really know.
Yeah, in the sense. Yeah. But there is still something perceived as words are difficult to find. So, a kind of vibration, I would say, kind of vibration.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you what you're doing is you're hoping, you have hope that there's something left. That I'm not really saying what I'm saying, but there's hope that there'll be something left when you're not there. And what's the suggestion is there's already nothing left. And all I can tell you is that awareness and consciousness are contracted energies in the body, which are the basis of separation. You can believe me or not, it makes no difference. That's just what it is. It's just, those are just a contracted separation. That's what they are.
Yeah. Those kinds of, this message has me feeling pangs of anguish when you say that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing for you.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's all right. It's all right because it's already nothing for you.
Yeah, so this should be celebrated too, or this is being celebrated.
No, you're still hoping for consciousness. You're still living in the world where you're going to be more conscious or have something, and that's then terrifying. The sense that all of those years meant nothing. Of course, they didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. And that there's no awareness or consciousness to be in or have. That's dread. That literally is dread, is what arises with that. It's like a terrible pulling feeling because there's so much hope in that, but it doesn't matter because that dread, consciousness, awareness, contraction is all liberation. So nothing is lost, nothing's found. It doesn't have to go away. This isn't a suggestion that it shouldn't be there. There's nothing right or wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thanks so much.
Damien. Thank you. Orna's back.
I remembered something else. In one of the conversations, you were saying that there is nothing connected to anything.
Yeah.
So if I, for example, blow on a candle and the flame goes out, is that a coincidence or it seems like it's connected? If I blow and it goes out, then it's connected.
Oh, I get what you mean, cause and effect.
Yes.
Yeah, there's apparent cause and effect.
It's all just apparent.
Yeah.
Of course.
But you can't, the apparent is pointing out that nothing can be held on to. Nothing is owned or known. So if blowing out happens, that's just what seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it when you said there's nothing is connected. I could see.
Yeah. Well, but it's not pointing to that there's a disconnectedness, because I think it can be misunderstood that way. There's not like all this disconnected things, but there's just simply the singularity. There's just simply what's happening. There's the experience of the energy of the individual. It's the connective tissue. It's got all these different realities, which it's holding together and making real.
Yeah.
That's just part of that experience, that dream experience, that there's other things happening, and it's the connective, real making tissue of it all. But really, there's nothing to be connected to. There is only this.
Yes. Yes.
There's only aliveness, this aliveness, and that just is whatever is arising, whatever appears.
Even when you say there is only this, I don't know what that means, because there's so many
me either.
Things in this.
No, there aren't.
Just the table.
No, they're not. Like, no. But see, so many things is also the singularity of this. The individual tries to connect all these things together. They aren't. They can't possibly be connected because they aren't actually separate.
Yeah. Wow. Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Orma.
Hello again, Jim.
Hey, Jason.
No one else was asking a question, so I thought I'd go again. Hopefully that's all right.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
You were just speaking to Orna about the connective tissue.
Yeah.
Kind of as another angle at my original question. And what is simply happening? Is it that the connective tissue is no longer simply happening? Or is it something about the way this relates to the connective tissue that is happening?
No. The relationship is the connective tissue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jackie.
I'm a bit vague about what I'm trying to ask here, but something about even in the dream world of me, like I can never know anything. You know, I can't know another person. I can own or the world. There's only what I'm experiencing. There's only like my feelings and thoughts and memories about that person, or say about another person. Does that mean I'm kind of? Is there a kind of aloneness?
Oh, the experience of the individual is being the absolute center of the universe, the only center of the universe.
Yeah.
So in that, completely alone. It hides that from itself, though, by saying we. We feel, we think.
Yeah. It's just because like I can kind of get that I don't know anything. You know, I don't
know that either, though.
All I've got is my experience, and that isn't.
Yeah, but you don't know that either.
Isn't knowing.
Oh, experience and knowing for me are sort of the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that here. It just feels like, you know, like I experience someone as something.
Yeah, but when you say experience, what you're doing is you're adding a sort of a knowing to yourself, or that's what it feels like.
Right.
Because in the end, that's what me does, or the I am does, is it feels like it wants to continue adding experience to itself, because at some point it'll fill up, it'll be full, it'll have enough. And that need for something to happen won't be there anymore.
Right. So there's not even a knowing of, so the kind of thinking at least I know what my experience of that person is, even if it's not the real them. That's an illusion too.
Oh, totally. Experience or knowing is sort of like, I don't know, somebody said they were on a tightrope there above an abyss. So really there's only abyss, right? Yeah. And knowing are like stepping stones in the abyss, where it feels like, oh, I know this, I can step here and there, I know that, I'll step there and I'll step there and I'll step there. So I know what other people are feeling. Oh, wait, I don't know what other people are feeling. I know my experience of other people. I'll step there, I'll step there.
I get you. Yeah. And without, you know, once, you know, like for you, like there's no, like there'll still be other, you know, like, other bodies happening, but there's no sense of, there's no knowing, even an experience of other. Yes, I am there.
So I can't tell you what it's like when there's no one, because really this is what it's like. Because there isn't anyone. Anywhere. There just isn't anyone.
And when you say like there's not two, that doesn't mean like there's one energy, all kind of, you know, we only perceive boundaries, but actually there aren't any boundaries. It's not that
Absolutely.
kind of not two.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is that kind of not two.
So there's just like one thing happening and there's no distinction.
No, there isn't one thing happening.
No.
That would be oneness.
Yes,
that sounds warm and fuzzy.
There's nothing happening.
Oneness.
Yeah. So there's just there's just nothing appearing to happen.
Aliveness, yeah, absolutely.
But there's no distinction between a
You can't
body
work this out.
and a table. No, but it's fun. It's fun talking.
Okay. Well, there's obvious distinction between a body and a table.
There's an obvious difference.
Yeah. You just mentioned it. Body, table,
Yeah.
sounds different.
Yeah. But I have this kind of, like say, a warm, fuzzy idea that somehow, they're not, that it's all the same energy.
It is.
But appearing as a body or a table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But you can't really say it's an energy of potential that becomes bodies and tables.
No possibility. That's been
no possibilities. That's right.
No. Yeah, because Tony mentioned that, and then Tim picked that up the other day. Yeah, no possibility. There's just what is.
Yeah.
Love that.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
So when I listen to you or Tony, there's such a joy, like, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like it is the way you speak. But as soon as I want to ask a question, I feel this like even like, what's the point of asking? I will be rejected anyway. Like this feeling of I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving this. And like when I listen to you speak, like in dualistic terms, like I feel it, but as soon as I ask, it's like as if you will get a sword and just chop me in half, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, that's it as well, though. That's also liberation.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing right or wrong with anything you've just described. It's just liberation appearing as that.
And is there any like chance that can be dismantled or?
But why would it be? Why would that need to happen? If everything's already liberated, why would it need to be dismantled?
Yeah, because I'm still looking for some experience or.
Yeah, that's just what happens.
And like,
and the looking for an experience is the sense that something needs to happen.
And that would include like looking for an approval from you, like let's say. Or...
Well, anything. The me, that experience, that separate experience, is completely undifferentiated. It tries to add absolutely everything to itself, and it does. It even adds to itself what isn't apparent. So it adds everything that does appear, but it also adds everything that doesn't appear. It has the experience that all of that's related to it. Everything that is and isn't is related to it, and it's owning it all, picks it all up.
And like even the seemingly things that it doesn't enjoy, there is like a pride, like I'm so bad or something like that.
Yeah. Even what it doesn't enjoy, but that's its position to it. What it does and what it doesn't like.
So it's
but there's nothing right or wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. So would you say like as long as there is a me, it's like that's the way it is?
Yeah, and there isn't a me. No, there just simply isn't. So the me doesn't stop happening.
Because it never started.
Exactly. It just recognizes never having been. The feeling that something needs to happen can stop, and the revelation is nothing needed to happen and nothing ever did really happen. Which is this already. It's already.
A lot of money can be saved with this.
Yeah,
thanks, Jim.
Thanks, man.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Sometimes you speak about that contraction or contracted energy.
Yeah.
And you say that actually the person, I cannot experience that contraction, yeah?
No. It's only recognized in the falling away of it.
So when during these meetings, I feel some kind of release or relaxation in the body.
Yeah.
That's not that, yeah? I cannot, or what you say.
Well, I guess I somehow balk at saying no. In some ways, it might be some of it, but not the completeness of it. So, of course, there can be this message can neutralize or have a counter effect on the need for something to happen, and everything that sort of grows out of that. And that is all that experience of something needs to happen. And so that would be sort of a relaxation having to do with that. But that core experience of knowing is all I can say is when it falls away, it's a total surprise. You would have never known or never thought about it. Somebody said to me the other day, it's like, well, it's the one place I wouldn't have looked. That's exactly what it is. Because the experience that something needs to happen, if you're trying to find the place of something needing to happen and release it, that's the experience of something needing to happen. Just going around in a little circle of its own experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Zoltan.
Nice to see you.
And you?
Yeah. So I'm still doing this applied non-duality.
Ah, good for you.
I know. So I'm trying to work it out. And my latest question is...
Your latest question.
So I suppose there is no difference between a table and an animal. And
no, well, it's no thing or unknowing tabling or unknowing animaling.
Because like in the everyday life, I mean, there is so much.
But there isn't an everyday life.
Yeah, I know, but
you do not know that. That's the reason you think you know it. That's the reason you have an everyday life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is so fascinating and it's just dreadful at the same time. So I just love it and hate it.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like today, I just love it. But maybe tomorrow, I know there is no tomorrow and there is no me, but I will still
you don't know that.
hate it. Because it's completely hopeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only for me is it hopeless. The whole dream of hope and hopelessness is just the story of me. Because there's no space, there's no real space or time for this to be hopeless or hopeful. There's just happening. It's only hopeless trying to find liberation. That's hopeless because all there is liberation. But that's only hopeless for that which thinks that liberation could be found.
Yeah.
The point is it can't be lost.
Yeah. Although for the person...
That's not enough because it thinks something needs to happen.
Yeah.
It thinks it's special. The person is convinced or has the experience that it's special. And so it's waiting for something special to happen to solve its special issue, the fact that it needs something to happen.
Yeah, at least I thought that like living beings like humans, cats, giraffes, they're special because they're just, they're alive. But the way you frame it, there's no difference between a living thing and a table and a candle.
Yeah.
All of them are no things.
Yeah.
I mean, I just cannot work it out.
No.
Okay, Jim.
It doesn't need to be worked out.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No. Yeah, but what is in that? What's in that for me, huh?
Absolutely.
What do I get out of that?
Nothing. Yeah. Next time I dial in, you will need to give me something. I just need some tangible. Okay, Jim. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sultan.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Yuku.
It's Yoko.
Yoko.
Yes. Okay, so I listened to your stuff on YouTube, and I think you were talking something about like this or the non-dual experience or non-experience, or that being kind of the same as death.
Yeah, absolutely.
That there's, or at least that there is kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
To doubt. So
yeah.
So, well, this is kind of a dark question, I suppose, but what about suicide then?
What about it?
Like, that's kind of, to me, then it sounds almost like that would be the, let's say, way to achieve non-dual, like immediately.
Oh, right. Oh, no, because suicide is just looking for a better experience.
I know. And that would be the better experience would be the non-dual. Like,
no, but it's not an experience. See, you think death is in the future. There is no death in the future. This is death. There's only the experience that this isn't death because there's an individual that knows what this is. So it lives in real time. And so when the experience of I am arises, time becomes, or it appears real. And death is then somewhere else in the future. Death is never in the future. When the body dies, it's always now. And when there's no longer the experience of real time, there is no real future for death to be projected into. And what happens is death then disappears as a reality because there's no one to die. Because this is no longer, in that sense, real. There's no longer the need for something to happen.
Okay. It's really difficult to follow. Like,
that's difficult to follow. Oh, what we're talking about, look, real time is death. So the I am experience is death itself, because I am experience is the experience that time is real. That's a dream. It's that real time that has the experience that something needs to happen for me to be liberated or for me to go beyond death. That's an illusion. Death is already not real. There is no real time because there is no I am that would know it. So what we're pointing to is this is death or there is no death. And suicide would just be the effort of the individual to have a better experience.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as eating a hamburger or anything else. And it has as much value as eating a hamburger or anything else. It makes no difference. The appearance isn't waiting. Liberation isn't waiting for someone to apparently stop seeking it or to seek it or for death. There's no value to the appearance in that way. There's just what seems to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like a lot like my brain is just getting tied in knots.
Huh. I always think when somebody says that there's an avoidance happening. There's nothing wrong with avoiding. That's not what I'm saying. But I think I've explained it fairly clearly. So if you want to continue to untie the knot.
I don't know how to, or like what to ask, or it's
what's confusing.
Everything.
Well, that's a good way out.
Yeah. No, it's partially like, I don't know, maybe it's a bit nervousness or stuff like that, but it's that is partially making it hard for me to
Well, just take a break and come back if you want to clear up anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Hey, Johannes.
Thank you for the talk. You talked before that me feels or is the center of the universe, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all around me. And due to this message is exposed that is not true, that it's a lie, that there's no me universe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
but that experience does seem to happen.
Yeah, the experience seems to happen. And I'm wondering how this illusion could appear when it is exposed as a lie. You know, when something expressed that, or someone showed me that I believe something and it's not true, I say, okay, I have to correct the view.
Yeah.
And it did not happen here. I knew that's not true, and during the day I say, okay, there's no center here, but similarly the contraction appear again, and it happens like or regroup more or less again.
Yeah,
and even that's not true, and I'm wondering what's going on here, because there's a resonance with this message. It's clear, it's understood, but in the day-to-day experience, everything goes on, and you say nothing have to change.
Well, there is only liberation. This isn't a teaching or a message of offer or hope that something needs to be different. The message is simply nothing needs to happen. There is only what seems to be, and that's liberation. This.
Yeah.
So that's there's no demand. There's no process.
What happened here is when I hear or when the word liberation is heard, that feels like I don't feel that.
Oh, totally. But that is liberation, saying, I don't feel that. Liberation can appear as the separate experience. It can appear as a center that comes and goes. It can appear as confusion, as wanting to know. There's nothing that's not it. Nothing. There is no limit. It could be anything. This is in a very real way anything. It's already anything. Then for the individual, it's something particular that belongs to a story, a continuum. But really, it's just anything. It's chaos. It's unhingedness. It's needless.
So it's not for the individual, because there's no individual.
No.
So it's
not for anything. It has no purpose, no meaning, no reason to it at all. It is unconditionally, unrecognizably free already.
Yeah. So nothing has to happen, or nothing ever happened.
Nothing really ever happens, and nothing has to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
that's how thin that prison is. It's only as thin as the need for something to happen. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. There's kind of intellectual understanding that there is no limit. There's absolute is perfect as it is. And the other side is feel so, the energy within the body feels so contracted, more or less.
Yeah, but that's perfection.
Yeah.
See, when the individual says it's perfect, then it has an idea that it's perfect in relationship to me or my ideals or ideas. It's perfect in that it has no need to be this way, and it couldn't be any way else. In that sense, it's perfect, not in relationship to anything, but in the mere fact that it's not related to anything. That's the perfection of it. That's the purity of it. It's singularly what it is, without anything behind it, which has any sort of need or intention for it to become. In that way, it's absolutely pure already. But even the experience that it's not, there's no beginning or end to liberation. The end of the experience of separation is the revelation there is only liberation.
Yeah, that's the recognition that it's all a dream, more or less. All a dream?
All a dream, yeah. Well, yeah. The only dream is the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything else is just insubstantial appearance.
Yeah. That's a free-floating experience for no one, more or less.
Totally. I wouldn't say experience, but absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Johannes.
I love the retreat. Still watching the videos.
We got lots of good responses from that. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. I had a question since then.
Yeah.
About God. I mean, is it a concept, or is all of this God? Or, I mean, this is what came up after. Or the dream that we are is God, or I was trying to figure that out.
Well, I guess in a way you could talk about different kinds of gods, couldn't you? You could say the God of religion, which is really just a man-made construct of hope, that there is, it's like the father figure. You know, you leave the house and you get another father figure that sort of protects you. Then there's the sort of the spiritual God, I am God, which is a realization that I can have God. And we could say all there is God. All there is sunlight. All there is God. All there is sound. Trying to point to the unknowableness of the appearance.
The unknowable
of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything.
So that so there are different concepts of gods, like you said. And one could say, but we're not for certain.
About what?
That the God concept exists.
Oh, the only concept of God that exists is the religious God.
Yes.
The I am God is obviously outside of existence because it is the cause or the uncausing cause of all of existence. And that's how it's realized as being outside. And then what we're talking about, if you want to say all there is God. So we're trying to put it into this context. You could say all there is paper. All there is pizza. All there is it's just a word that's pointing to what can't be known. Right. I find the word God confusing just because it has so much baggage with it. I think it probably better to say all there is pizza. There's not so much baggage that comes along with it. Because really what we're saying is there's only absoluteness. There's only immediacy. There's only unknowing. And those words don't have so much baggage to them. They're not to be understood. They're not conceptual. They're not for anyone. It's not pointing to a new knowing. What can happen is if there's an awakening, there'll be the sense that it happened to someone and that it needs to be put into a box. And of course, the awakening was the loss of the entire file cabinet, much less a little box. And so there'll be that experience of trying to figure out what happened. But this is that. This is any awakening is this. There never was an awakening in the past, really. There is no real past. The breaking up of the box, the end of the construct is this.
Now I understood, yeah. So the God concept in itself is also for a lot of people a box. So that's totally. That's why you talk about this way, yeah. Got it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dinke.
Yes, again.
Yes.
A question about death or fear of death. Apparently death is happening, or is it not happening?
But bodies die. But I never die. I mean, even the dream of I doesn't die. Think of it logically. Now, this is just for understanding. But for death to be real and not just a dead body, I would have to know I were dead. And if I knew I were dead, who's dead? And if I died and I didn't know I was dead, because I was dead, then who's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just part of the dream of the individual. It doesn't easily think things through to the end. It hides from itself in its dream. But death, as far as we're concerned in this context, is real time. It's the end of something really happening. And because there's a dependency, or the experience of the individual is about real, death for it is terrifying. It's the worst thing, actually. There's still bodily construct that will avoid dangerous situations, and you call that fear. But all psychological fear comes from the fear of death.
Yes.
From the experience that what's happening is real, has real consequences to me.
Well, when you're close to death, it doesn't feel that it's not real.
It depends upon how solid that experience of real time is. Because I know for some, the being close to death just confirms that there's no death, that there's no real time.
Well, I mean, there are experiences. Close to death, there are experiences. They seem like a dream. That's the weird part. It's like, that seems a dream, and then you come back to normal life, and then now you're saying this is also a dream.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying this is a dream.
Okay, sorry.
The only dream, or maybe we should just go for illusion, is that what's happening is real, that I am real, that there's something that needs to happen. That's the illusion. That liberation could be lost and could be found. That's the illusion. That's the only illusion. That's the only thing that's completely unreal. That's why when it doesn't actually stop happening, it's revealed as never have happened. So nobody loses a me. There's just the revelation. There's no such thing. That's the illusion. And nobody has the experience that the appearance is unreal. It just becomes obvious, as it is, I think, now, because that's all this message really is. It's not offering anything, but it does point out the undeniable obvious, that there's only what appears. That what appears is the beginning and end, the Alpha and the Omega, infinite. And that what makes it seem real is the experience of being conscious of it, or the experience of being aware of it, the knowing of it, which is also what is. It just happens to be illusory.
So when you close to dying, or when you're like, I don't know, there's a lot of...
You can't get any closer to dying than this.
Well, that's a concept. But can I ask something? It's maybe petty, I don't know. But like, so when I thought I was dying, I had a lot of illusions, what you would call, or hallucinations, or whatever you say, like tunnel stuff and information, and I don't know, like, structures. I was flying through things.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was scary.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it is, or what is this, I didn't know. And I wanted to come back. I didn't want to stay in the whatever this was. And then you come to normal life. I mean, not normal life, body life, or whatever this is. And then and then you're trying to make sense of this.
Exactly.
And this. Yeah.
Exactly. You're having the experience of being the connective tissue, as though there was something else.
Right. Yeah.
And like the me can't help but do is it takes everything and tries to apply it to itself, trying to make that whatever needs to happen by ordering everything and pulling in, because these were seemingly extraordinary impressions. It thinks that they're somehow special, and it tries to add those. So what does the tunnel mean? And what does this mean? And how do I apply this and this and this? But really, it's just what is. What is and isn't. We're just talking about this appearing as the memory of being close to death.
And I still have panic attacks.
Because of it?
Yeah. I don't know why, but...
Well, the death of me is the worst thing that can happen. That's why people struggle so much. I mean, the other side of the fear of death is look at religion, look at spiritual circles and spiritual search, and how important all of that is. That's all an effort to overcome to overcome that sense of separation.
Yeah.
Death. When really, this is already death. There isn't an individual. There isn't anybody alive.
That's comforting in some form. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, in some form, my brain doesn't get it. I mean, I don't get it, but in the other form, it feels comforting because I'm relaxing and not trying to make sense.
How are you gonna get on? How are you gonna know unknowing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot of freedom in that, you know?
Totally.
And then there's these glimpses of freedom, and then there's pure panic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, until there isn't.
Right.
Hello, Jim.
Hey, Armin.
I have a question. For me, it seems when I look around that the people are walking around like maybe robots in this I experience. And I wonder if this came up maybe in the childhood from the environment, from the parents, that you think this is the way it should be. Or sometimes I think it's coming from the evolution of mankind, that it was developed like this, that it's let's say built in our brain like a mechanism to survive in this real world with wild animals, and you have to think about tomorrow and what you have like a model of the outside world in your brain, and then you operate in this between these things. So sometimes it seems for me it's like from evolution, this was advantage to operate like this. And I want to ask what you think, where this comes from, this illusion.
Yeah, well, I'd go with with your story. I mean, they're just stories, right? But I'd go with your story, a mixture of the two, of the physical, so the evolutionary, that the brain can abstract a center, and then that abstraction then collects beliefs through, like you said, through cult experience about how to overcome the sense of separation. That's a belief system, which it builds up around itself. Where I wouldn't agree with you is that it's somehow functional, because in some ways it's actually really dysfunctional. And without that extra added need for something to happen, functioning seems to be somewhat smoother, I'd say, softer, less edgy. Not that that's important or matters, but it sort of undermines the idea that it would be somehow a positive function having the experience of separation.
I didn't get this.
Which bit?
With the function, the advantage?
Well, it's the function of the individual is actually an imposition on the appearance that there's something wrong and something needs to happen. And part of that function, part of the individual, is it takes an enormous amount of energy, because it is constantly on guard. It's constantly trying to put everything right into its story as it should be. Judgment, for example, is something that belongs totally to the experience of the person, so that because the belief system, which we've said builds up around the individual over time through experience, about the belief system is actually how it's going to find its way out. And so it builds, the belief system is of good and bad and right and wrong. What's supposed to happen and what's not supposed to happen. Those are my beliefs about what's good and bad and right and wrong. And so everybody else that doesn't do it the way I think my way out is, they're getting it wrong. Because the appearance when I'm there suddenly has intention, and that intention surrounds around me. I am the center of the universe, and me finding my way out, me finding whatever it was that needed to happen, that end thing that's going to bring about the peace or whatever it is I think that solution is going to look like. It takes a lot of energy to keep up that whole thing. Every emotion, every thought is put on a scale of justice of my life. And then it has to, and lots of them don't fit very well in the belief system I have. So I need to get out my toolkit and file them down and say, I didn't really think that, or I didn't really mean that, or anything, and put it into a file. I mean, it's an enormous amount of energy. And in that way, it's not conducive to survival. It's just sort of, in a way, if we're talking about like this, it's a waste of energy. Of course, there isn't any waste of energy, because there isn't anything really happening. I mean, it can be as bad as it can kill you. The need, the experience of separation, and all of the belief systems that surround it, it can create, it's a lot of discontent in the body that is built up through that and with that, about different belief systems and all that. And in that way, I wouldn't agree that it has a survival function to it. But there's nothing right or wrong with tension and the body dying and all the constructs and beliefs and all that. There's nothing right or wrong with any of that. That's all liberation appearing as that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Armin. Well, that was good timing. It's 11:30. Well, at least wherever I hear it is, wherever you are, it's 30 something. Thanks for showing up. Lovely to see you guys. Love you all very much. Aw. Yeah. Thanks, guys. And yeah, take care. Thanks for showing up. See you next time.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you so much,
Tim.
Rita.
Great seeing you tonight, or in March.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye. See you later. Ciao.
Ciao.